Peter Ward will probably let the ball in, which he does do. Andy Price takes the applause of the crowd.
I'm on a date tonight, so I'll have to just fucking go to... No, I'll just do it in front of her, shouldn't I?
Going! He's kept going! He scored! Oh, Stockport pressure. And the header into the back of the net! Made it again. And a superb goal! Johnny did it! Lisa! Rose tries to get the ball in. Wilkinson! The ball at home! His first goal in 13 games. Towards Sars, I think he deserves a goal. Madden with a score! Oh, Paddy Madden! It's a 5-star performance from Stockport County.
All right, we got a small house, but we got a big bloody heart, I tell you.
Hello, good evening. It's fast approaching 8:05, and more importantly, that means it's time to welcome you to yet another episode of SK3 TV, the podcasting equivalent of a 6 a.m. train to a London away day with a big old bag of cans. You know the score by now. We're here every Monday from 8-ish, as me and a gang of rotating co-hosts give you the first word on the weekend's county action and much more besides. Basically the Avengers, but it's not for virgins. Well, maybe one or two. After a performance that's divided opinion, it's good to have something to properly get our teeth into, and get our teeth into it we will. Hello, I'm Nick, and joining us tonight, it's Stockport County Shirt Collection Supremo, Ben. Hello, Ben.
Good evening, Nick. How are we?
But it was going to be Supremo or Head Honcho. I couldn't decide that. I decided in the moment.
I'll take Supremo. I think I'm all right. Yeah, I've not had a Supremo for a while. Yeah, so let's go with that.
You can have Supremo. You can have Supremo. Yeah. How are we anyway after what was? Well, we'll get into it, but pretty fucking torrid. Let's be honest.
Yeah, well, we will get to it. Yeah, and we'll try and wrap everything up within less than an hour and a half tonight. I know those of you who feasted on last week's bumper edition will try not to keep you here.
It was long. A good bumper edition, though, for my money. Yeah, the numbers suggested it was as well. People were lapping that shit up, absolutely lapping it up.
Maybe we should. So what I'll do? Let's go till 10 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, let's make it like a charity thing. Let's pick a charity and just pretend we're doing it for them when really we just like the sound of our own voices. That sounds fair enough. I'll rattle through the admin and then we'll get on to cheeky, but we'll give them all a trivia question that they can work on for the next hour or so. And then we'll get into Charlton. We'll have a chat about Northampton and Lincoln, but mostly probably Charlton, let's face it. I have got an absolute stonker of a random county non-league goal of the week this week. When people find out that they're not random, it's going to be like the ITV phone-in scandal all over again. When people find that I'm like carefully curating these.
There's no randomizer website for these goals. You can't just type in
no
non-league goal.
Well, I'm going to learn to do coding just so I can make one. I think I got to go to night school. It never called night school anymore. My mum went to night school when I was a kid.
I say night school, night college. I went when I was 16, went to college all giddy and excited, and just fucked it up and got 1 E at AS level, which takes some. If you I don't know if you still do AS levels, but if you do to get 1 E at AS level took some doing, and then all my friends pissed off to university. So I was like, I should probably actually do something if I want to go to university, which I did. So I had to go to night college and do like condensed A levels in a year. So there we go. That was 20 years ago. More than 20 years ago.
That's ruined it for people who are going to buy your memoirs, though, isn't it?
Exactly. That's about it, really. Went to college, failed it, did night school, bought a load of shirts. The end. That's it. Lost my hair somewhere along the way. Yeah.
We'll have some pictures in there. It'll be fine. Right, admin. If you're watching live, like, subscribe, and follow on Linktree in the episode description. All our channels are on there. Wednesday, the 20th of November, myself and Hannah will be hosting the Co-ops evening in conversation with Andy Priest. The ticket link is in the episode description. Ben will be hosting the County Quiz Night on the 18th of December, so keep an eye out because we will be announcing that fairly soon. I think you can get your tickets and be very frustrated with an evening of trivia. More on that shortly. And last bit of admin, when we started this, I made a promise that the County pod was just like one small part of it. So keep an eye out because there's a very big announcement along these lines in the next week or so that no one even knows about. I've not even told anyone. Just keeping people guessing. But for the people who've been watching live since the very start, they will see that I've posed a question that will take us on to what we're about to discuss. I've even got a jingle for it. It's our burning issue.
What is the burning issue?
Can't wait for BBC to flag that up for copyright. Shithouses. Yes, so the burning issue du jour was to see where people stand on shithousery. Ben, I think you're the same as me from what you said. Tell me how you feel about not just about. I think it's fair to say that at 5-3, if you'd offered us a draw at Charlton, yeah, you'd take that any day of the week, quite happily. But for me, it was the manner in which it happened.
A couple of questions. Let's unpack that in the way that only we can. There's a few issues to go at there. Would I have taken a draw before the game? Not just saying this, but probably wouldn't, because I think that we are, we were above Charlton in the league. They finished something like 16th last year. So they've had a reasonable start, but we've had a better start. So would I have taken a point? Don't think I would have done, but that's not to say that I don't think a point is a good result. And it was, clearly a point at Charlton, current league standings and all of that. I think, I wouldn't have taken it beforehand, but I'm not dissatisfied with a point. Let's be clear about that. Where do I stand on shithousery and, the dark arts and all this kind of stuff you hear get thrown around? I don't like it. People say we need to be savvier, we need to be smarter. Other teams do it, so we should do it. And I think there's degrees of it as well. But I think what we saw on Saturday was taking it to the nth degree, whatever that means, taking it too far. And it wasn't for me. I think this wasn't keeping the ball in the corner with 5 minutes to go or kind of, stealing 5 yards at a free kick, that kind of entry-level stuff. It was deliberately breaking up the game, going to ground, gobbing off, picking up stupid yellow cards, which has resulted in a red card because of that, horsefall leaning into the keeper trying to kick the ball away. I understand kind of why he's done that, but that's going to be a yellow card. You don't get away with that offence. And it's come back to haunt him and us. So I think the way that we played on Saturday, some could say the ends justify the means and we've got a point and, shut up and get over it. But I would hate it if that became what we were known for and became our style. I don't think we will. I don't know if it was like a deliberate ploy. I don't know if it was something that kind of unfurled as the game came along and we saw it as a legitimate tactic. I'm not really sure how it came about, but I really hope we don't become known for that as a club because it's horrible to watch. We didn't deserve to win the game at all. Charlton, we didn't really have loads of clear-cut chances, but had the better chances. Dye made some decent saves. So, yeah, it's not for me. It's not for me. It's not nice to watch. It doesn't reflect well on us as a team and all that. And that's, again, I'm sure people say, oh, you're just being naive. You have to do this to get results. And I think you've seen over the last few years the way we've played, the way we've approached games and the way we've conducted ourselves, that you don't need to do that to get results. I know we're at a higher level now, but we've got a higher level of players and we've got all the resources and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, let's not see any more of that, please. And let's get back to being the team that we know we can be, which, plays in the right way.
Absolutely. I tweeted at half time saying it was a very good first half, but even the last 5 or 6 minutes of that first half, the bits of shithousery started creeping in. And at the time, I naively thought, oh, well, we're just getting to half time 1-0 up. And then, but from the first minute of the second half, it was just horrible. And I agree, there has to be every successful team has to have a bit of that. But for it, and to his credit, Dave Challoner said in his interview on GMR after the game that wasn't what he told them to do. That wasn't an instruction.
I think as well, this kind of phrase shithousery, it's kind of entered like football lexicon in the last kind of 5 or 10 years or so. 10 years ago, no one spoke about shithousery. They were just kind of cheats and like cheating bastards and all this, and they're a dirty team. So shithousery almost kind of gives it like comedic edge, or kind of, oh, that's funny. They look at them like the cheeky little shithouses and almost justifies it. Let's have it right. It's not shithousery. It's borderline cheating in what we were doing. And again, the flip side of that is, it's given us an advantage and it's disrupting the other team. But nah, not for me. And I think you're right. Well, I didn't hear Challoner's GMR thing. I was at the game, so I didn't hear what he said. But it was, if he said that, then yeah, good to hear. He's spot on with it, because I know I've already said it, but let's not become a team who are characterised by that. We've seen teams who've come to Edgeley Park over the years. You can all name them, teams like Gillingham, someone like that. And you think, Jesus, imagine watching that every week. And Charlton fans will be saying that about us now.
I did. From looking at Twitter on Saturday night, it was just full of Charlton fans saying, "Oh, I couldn't watch that every week." It's like, well, we don't. We don't usually watch this every week.
I know completely. I don't want to watch that every week. And again, you don't want to be like, well, I'd rather play the right way and lose. But I think I rather would. I think I'd rather kind of lose with a bit of trying to play it the right way, rather than just grind out these points, but in that manner. You take it as a one-off, tough place to go. You take it as a one-off and all that, move on. But yeah, can't be having that. I tweeted it on the game, after the game. I think probably went a little bit over the top. I was like, oh, it's disgraceful the way we've conducted ourselves today. But I think
they enjoy you getting told to grow up by someone who supports 2 football clubs.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, you're just a weird little anonymous troll. So I will take your advice and disregard it. But yeah, I hate that. Oh, it's a disgrace, but it's how it felt at the time. So, but anyway, it's a point.
Yeah.
So I've lost 1 game in the first 9 or whatever, however many we've played. So we're all right.
Are we not unbeaten away from home as well?
We are.
Which is a mad record to have.
Yeah, I was going to give it one of those. Last time we lost away, but it was actually the final day of last season, so it doesn't go about that far. We lost at Wrexham, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, that takes us nicely.
It was was it Tranmere? Because after Tranmere, we drew with Gills, and then we went on that really good run where we won like 6 or 7 in a row. We drew with Crawley. I don't think we lost another one after Tranmere, did we?
So maybe drew with Salford, drew with Crawley,
drew with Gillingham. So maybe it's 1 away defeat since February, which can, going into November next week, it's not bad.
Yeah. Which is one thing. It's one thing having that record when you're absolutely pissing the league below, but to come up into a league with some noticeably bigger clubs and to still have in a time of upheaval as well. I think probably the most upheaval we've had squad-wise during the summer for a long time. And to still have that record, that's astonishing. It takes us kind of nicely onto a bit of trivia, if you've got anything. If you've got anything we can hit them with, and we can check the comments at the end of the show and give them the answer. Then we'll get back onto Charlton.
I'll give you a double whammy, a double hit, a double header. One's a fact, one's a question. I'm just getting in there early with the fact before anyone else steals.
Yeah, before someone else claims it as their own.
Copyright it. Think I'm right in saying the Forest Green game on Saturday in the FA Cup is our 300th FA Cup game. I've not seen anyone else say that before, so I'm having that. I think it's right. So 300 FA Cup games for the club. So you heard it here first. And secondly, I was struggling because I know you said this afternoon, come up with some trivia. I will ask everyone. I was like, yeah, nice one. And then just totally forgot to do it. So I only kind of devised this about 4 minutes before we came on air. So it's probably quite obtainable. What was significant about our FA Cup game away at Gillingham in 2008? FA Cup second round tie away at Gillingham in 2008.
Okay, because we all know what was significant about the replay, but
yes,
so,
it's not that.
Yes.
It's not that we could have played Aston Villa if we'd beaten them. That's not it. Before someone pipes up with it. So there you go.
Okay, right. Now we'll see. We'll see what people get in the comments and see if anyone gets it, because I have absolutely no idea. Well, we're on FA Cup. A slight non-county bit of trivia. The second highest goal scorers in FA Cup history are Tottenham. Do you have any idea who is first?
It's not us.
No, it's absolutely not.
So you'd assume it's somebody who's consistently got into the later rounds.
Okay.
Because therefore they would have played more games, unless it's somebody like a non-league. Are we talking like preliminary rounds and everything, or so therefore it could, be fucking.
It's from first qualifying round onwards, so the preliminaries aren't in it.
Okay. I don't know. My first instinct would have been to say someone like Liverpool, like a big Premier League club who routinely get to the end there. If it's including the qualifying rounds, then it'll be probably a decent non-league team who have got who's got FA Cup heritage. I mean, it's not going to be them, but someone like Kingstonian or Woking, some of like the FA Cup giant killers from the 90s.
I thought you were about to say it then. You had the first letter right with the first one there. I thought not Kidderminster, no, not Kidderminster or Kingstone. There we go. It's Kettering Town.
Yes. Right. Well, there we go.
Yeah, erstwhile FA Cup early rounds reaches.
Have they got, is it them who've got? I was going to say Nile Rodgers, not Nile Rodgers. Nile Ranger. Yeah,
they might have Nile Rodgers. He's bloody everywhere else.
Nile Ranger. Yeah.
There's a couple of other players they've got as well.
It's like Marvin Sordell, I think, is one of them, isn't he?
Marvin Sordell, and I think there's three up front. Yes, Ranger Sordell, and another one which I will find now. So looking at that,
kind of like early 2010s Premier League. Gary Hooper. It is Gary Hooper.
Gary Hooper. That's what, someone with a slight county connection, and I was getting there then as well.
Nearly of this parish, but not quite.
Yeah, very nearly. Very nearly. Oh, we had a thing around that time of nearly signing Irish players, didn't we? Paddy Madden was another nearly at the same time.
Yeah, I've not actually said this on this before, but I did tweet it that we played. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation now. Like Drogda, spelled like Drogda. I think it's Drogda. In March 2008, in a friendly over in Ireland, obviously middle of the League Two season, and Paddy Madden was on the bench for us that day as a trial.
Yes, did you tweet the team? That was it. That was what I saw. Yeah, you tweeted the team sheet. Yeah.
So what could have been? And he was. I think it was his 18th birthday. Paddy's actual 18th birthday that day. But obviously didn't come to us. I think he went to like Carlisle first in this country, didn't he? And then
yes, it was Carlisle.
Yeah. What could have been?
Oh, good old Paddy. Good old Paddy. Right, back to Charlton then. Unfortunately, blows my mind that not only I can accept Charlton fans who are watching it in the ground saying it was never a penalty. What I cannot fathom is them coming out the ground, watching the highlights and still saying it's not a penalty. And also their manager, with the benefit of his little band of gimps with iPads, also saying it's not a penalty in his interview after. Just
again, couple of things to go out there. Well, we weren't sat in the county end. We had a corporate freebie, and tell you who was right behind us actually. That donkey from Sunderland Till I Die, Charlie Methan, because he's involved.
Oh God, he's there, isn't he?
Yeah. Because I saw it, my mate was like, "There's that guy from Sunderland Till I Die." So I turned around, took a picture of him because the lad I worked with, a Sunderland fan. And just as I turned round, he like looked straight at me. It was dead obvious I was taking a picture of him.
Brilliant! I love it when it happens.
just felt really sheepish doing it. So
he got involved with the pre-match soundtrack at Charlton.
Unfortunately, they didn't have the new upbeat music that he was longing for at Stadium of Light. But yeah, we were sat about 10 rows behind Nathan Jones, and fuck me, like, he must be exhausting to work with or work for. He didn't stop the whole game, and not in a kind of mind games in the fourth official's ear or kind of in the opposition, just jumping up and down like a spoilt toddler, being really kind of aggressive with everyone. And you just think he hasn't got any credibility because he behaves like that. And you think, when you hear someone shout, you kind of like, you pay attention to them. But then when you hear them shout 20 times a day, it just becomes noise and background behavior. And that's exactly what he's like. And then we were in the bar afterwards, and we spoke to a couple of the Charlton kind of reps, and there was an ex-player there who was kind of doing the rounds. And I said to them, what do you make of Nathan Jones? And they all said pretty much like the guy's a nightmare. Trying to deal with him. He makes excuses for everything. The way he conducts himself, he rubs everybody up the wrong way. And you could see it. Him and his assistant, Curtis Fleming, we were trying to figure out who it was. We could picture him, and then turn around and he'd CF on him, it was Curtis Fleming. And he's kind of from the same mould, but even he was getting sick of him. So you can just see it. And every decision, everything that goes against him, he's screaming and up and down. And there he's round to his mate on the laptop looking at a replay, but he watches it and goes and kicks off. And yeah, he's hard work. And I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't last the season there, because it's just...
Southampton didn't put up with that. It didn't last very long as a Premier League manager off the back of that.
No, not at all. I can't see it. And he went to Stoke as well, didn't he? And didn't work for him there either. So
no, he had 2 spells at Luton where it worked, and that was it.
Yeah. So yeah, God, like, if anything ever happens to Challoner, Simon Wilson, if you're watching, don't even talk to the guy. Yeah, can't be having him in the club.
I seem to remember Curtis Fleming. So he was he played against us for Middlesbrough in 96-97. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure when Dinning and Ravanelli had their little thing and Dinning got sent off, I'm pretty sure Curtis Fleming was the one who was straight in the referee's face. I'm certain it was him. Right. Which would certainly tally.
I've got a picture of the moment the referee holds up the red card and Dinning's looking up directly at the red card. And there's a few, Ravanelli's on the floor, and there's a few Borough players around. I'll try and dig it out. I've got it on my phone, but I've got like something like 90,000 photos on my phone, so I'm not going to find it now.
Yeah, I remember disliking Curtis Fleming from a very early age, so that would make sense if that was the...
Yeah, in fact, No, ignore that. He wasn't. So yeah, that was Nathan Jones. In terms of the penalty, during the game, I thought it was a penalty. It was like Powell obviously got a touch of there. He wasn't in complete control of the ball. It was a fairly heavy touch past the keeper. It's not like he was running straight through to an open goal, but he'd beaten the keeper to the ball, and then he got wiped out. It's exactly the same as what Horsfall got his second yellow for. The defender nipped in ahead of Horsfall, jumped past him, then Horsfall clipped him. That was clearly a foul. No one was arguing about that. This was absolutely no different. Powell's nudged the ball past the keeper's then come and wiped him out. Like, there's no difference. No difference.
It's the very definition of a penalty for me. It genuinely baffles me that there can be any argument about that.
Yeah. It was like, and there's that whole thing about, if that was the other way around, you'd be screaming for it. And it was just a penalty. I don't know if people thought maybe it was a bit early in the game to not give a penalty or something, but it was, like I say, Powell's got there. He's nudged the ball past him, and then he's been totally wiped out at kind of head height by the keeper. Yeah, there's just no discussion for me. Yeah, right decision, good penalty from Barry, and then it was all a bit downhill from then on, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It was downhill from them, but there's a big sliding doors moment just prior to their equaliser where Louis Barry finally found a bit of space to run into with the ball. finds himself with a chance to shoot from a narrow angle or to square it, and once again and I can see why he's doing these things alone, because he's got confidence in himself. He feels every time he hits it, he's going to score. But there's players in the middle. I mean, he scores that, we're 2-0 up, and we can just close the game down from there.
Yeah, completely, and obviously that's what he was anticipating to happen and what he would backed himself to do.
Yeah,
but I don't know. You don't want to criticise Barry, because every game he's played for us, he's been pretty, very effective, scored plenty of goals and all of it. He's got that. He's kind of the one player in the team who was able to kind of go past 2 or 3 and make that chance. Yeah. But yeah, he's got to be passing that. And it's not the first time that we've seen that this season, when he's kind of gone past 1 or 2, made some space, but there's someone better positioned, and he's chosen to shoot. That is my, again, I don't want to criticise him, but that would be my one kind of bit of a bugbear with him, that you've got to be looking for others sometimes. It's not all about him trying to be the hero. I put that on the board earlier. Got to be passing it there. And I think Challoner said in his club post-match that, it's something the club have identified. He's got less than 10 assists in his whole career over the last kind of 4 or 5 years. And for someone who's been, as an attacking player, he should probably have more than that. And, Challoner's kind of caveated with, same as I've just said, we don't want to take that magic away from him. We don't want to coach anything out of him. But yeah, look up and play in the pass. When there's someone in a much better opportunity than you, do it for the team and play the ball to pal.
Do you think we're suffering because at the start of the season, it's not like we even came flying out the blocks at the start of the season. It's not like we're playing fantastically and sweeping everyone aside. But it seems to be a case of it had to be that 11 on the pitch due to injuries. But we've seen it before where once more players come back, it just feels like we don't know what the best. I couldn't tell you what my best 11 would be, what 11 I'd pick. I mean, I know best 11 is pretty much redundant these days anyway. It's a squad game, but we don't seem to be even close to knowing what the spine's going to be. Apart from maybe Horsfall, Pye, and Barry, I think a lot of it is interchangeable.
You're right. If you were to try and, I know people do that fan hub thing where they try and name like the starting 11. I bet there's not been many people who've got it right. And you look at how often we change it, then it's not a worry, but I don't know, is it necessary? Are we doing that to counteract what we're up against? Are we kind of setting up differently to take advantage of other teams' weaknesses? Are we doing it because, we don't know who our best players are? Are we doing it because other players haven't been consistent enough and therefore they're essentially being dropped from the starting lineup? I totally agree with you that this concept of a best 11 is a little bit dead. That when you can make 5 subs and you can name like another 20 on the bench or whatever it is, it doesn't really, not that it doesn't matter, but your starting 11 becomes a little bit less probably as crucial as it was when you had 3 subs on the bench. So, so there's that. But I also think, do we need to keep making all these changes? I don't think we have many players who are having stinkers. Maybe, Challoner's and Clint Hill's standards are much higher and they think that, people need a kick up the arse or they need dropping or whatever it is. Maybe we are trying to set up to, take advantage of how other teams play and therefore we need, like a Fevrier over a Diamond one week and then we need someone else over someone else. But I just think it's probably quite difficult to get some consistency when we are making like 5 or 6 changes every week. I think most teams is probably expected to see, 1 or 2 changes a week. But I don't think, it doesn't seem like the players who are getting left out of the starting 11 are injured. They're always on the bench and tend to come on. So it seems to be shuffling around quite a lot. So we'll see what comes tomorrow. But obviously there's going to be changes again. Horsfall's going to be out. So you'd imagine, Hughes is the obvious replacement, but he's barely played for us. He was kind of given a fairly torrid time against Blackburn. So is he not capable, but is he kind of fit enough to come in and start the game? If he doesn't, does Connolly move over a little bit? Do we see Fevrier come in at kind of a wing back role? But then you're suddenly making changes all over the place. But I think for me, if I'm going to, say anything about the teams now. And you don't want to single individuals out. But I'm struggling to see what Norwood's offering at the moment. He played one. He attempted one incredible pass on Saturday in the first half from like the corner of our box. He hit it on the volley to try and release Barry on the other side. I think it was Barry, and it got cut out. But you kind of think, yeah, that's what he's good. And then when he came on against Bristol, when he's played against Bristol Rovers on his debut, he was pinging some passes that were great. But it sounds daft to say considering where he came from and what he did last season and everything. He looks out of his depth. He got caught in possession. He looks way off the pace. He doesn't look good enough for League One, which is, again, I know that's a totally stupid thing to say because he's an established Premier League player. But at the moment, he's just not playing very well.
I think a lot of people were guilty of going way overboard after that Bristol Rovers game, where he admitted he did dominate the game in midfield, but at the same time they weren't offering much at all. It was very much a game we were mostly dominant in, and he managed to boss it. But it seems, I don't want to say now things have gone a bit JG Ballard because they haven't. That's a bit much. But in terms of being up against it a bit more, I still think we're suffering from that. I said it in the summer, but we're suffering from, we don't have that enforcer in midfield. Someone like Croasdale, someone who is going to go and win the ball back. As much as Bate does get about and does snap at opposition players and stuff, I just don't see anyone there who's going to do that. That worries me.
I think Bate has, I don't know if it's the right phrase, been held back. We're not seeing the best of him because of Norwood. And I don't know what combination of, we've got that many midfielders now. We can't possibly play them all. But, Camps has been probably the best player this season. So for me, Camps should start games. I think Bate has shown enough that he should be starting. So you've got Camps and Bate, which means you can't possibly then play Norwood. But then Powell's come back into things, and to be fair to him, has been decent. His drawback is that he hasn't got the legs to kind of play between the lines and kind of break that a little bit more. He was trying to support Wootton a little bit yesterday on Monday, a little bit deeper, but he hasn't got the legs to do it. He's got the ability and the passing range and the vision and all that kind of stuff, but he just can't go from the centre circle to the edge of the area quickly enough or frequently enough. So then you look at someone like Collar who can play that role, but when he's never fit, so then you look at someone like Jack Diamond, who I thought was beginning to really come into stuff.
It's really impressing me, yeah.
Yeah, so then maybe Diamond can play that kind of role. But then you look out wide, you've got kind of like Fevrier, who's a proper wild card when he comes on. It's like, well, who'd you bloody pick? Who'd you go for? And I think that's why we're probably seeing so many changes all the time. But I just find it strange that, I think by anyone's standards and anyone's view, Norwood hasn't been as good as we expected, if we're being blunt about it. And, I don't want to dig him out, but he probably hasn't been as good as we expected. So, but he's keeping his position every team. He's playing every game.
Yeah, it surprises me that, yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of think, with the regularity of how often we do change the starting lineup, not why are we persisting with him? That's too kind of harsh and too blunt. But are there other options that are maybe better suited and could kind of hopefully unlock that kind of style of play that might put us a bit more on the front foot and be a bit more intense and everything, which we know is what Challoner is all about. He says it all the time. He talks about this intensity. It's him who kind of sets that expectation in his interviews and says that's our identity. That's the team we've tried to build. But then when you see kind of Powell and Norwood in the same team together, and it sounds daft to kind of say that that's not good enough when you look at their pedigree and everything, but it's probably not working for us at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose as you get further up the pitch, like you said, with all the midfielders we've got. So if we were to go, for example, like 4-2-3-1, that's a system we've played a fair bit of. So you're back with everyone fit. You're back four. You're looking at either Southam Hales or Noyle on the right. Two centre backs, Horsfall and Pye every day of the week, and then left back Torre or Rydell if he's fit. Yeah. And then it's after that. that you think, well, what do we do here? I mean, if you do want that enforcer type in the midfield, then you'll go with Mingy, and that leaves one spot for Bate, Norwood, Powell, or Camps. Bate's captain, but Camps has been our best player this season.
Yeah.
So then, do you have Camps playing further forward in the 10? Well, that's where Will Collar's been playing, even though that's not where I'd have him. Then you got likes of Bailey as well. Powell can also play up there. And it's just madness. I'm glad I'm not. And then you get even further forward. You get to, on the understanding we're playing 4-2-3-1, you get into one centre forward, and you've got Wootton, Tanto, and Mellon all going for that.
It's all getting a bit serious, this, isn't it?
Oh yes. Oh God, shall we have
horrible or upset someone?
Well, what we'll do, we'll upset the people of a certain town with our random county non-league goal of the week, which is coming right now. So much to pick from that. So sometimes I think about the people listening on the audio and they're not getting the commentary, but that works perfectly without the commentary there.
Everyone knows what that is. Anyone who was around at that time knows what that game is. There's no actual match commentary on it. It's, there's no visual there if you're listening to this on Spotify or whatever. It is just the crowd noise. That's it. And it gives it away. And there's probably not as, I don't know, how many other county games could you identify purely from the crowd noise? That's probably
we can make a game out of this. For the audio listeners every week now.
Do you know what? That's the Christmas quiz round. Name this game just from the audio.
Sorted. Yes, we'll have that. We'll have a bit of that. Excellent.
A couple of things there. Matty Warburton wearing number 11 rather than number 10. Although he wore number 11 against Yeovil in the FA Cup the following season as well, when he scored his free kick. And his part in the build-up there reminds me of the United Bayern Munich Champions League final, because he's running away from goal, and if he takes that on his left, if he flicks back to his left and heads back to the centre circle, the ref blows because the attack's broken down. But he doesn't. He kind of darts back on his right-hand side, swings the ball in, Duxbury knocks it on, ball scores. Beckham did something almost exactly the same against Bayern Munich, where he was running away from goal out towards the touchline, and you would assume he's going to go back on his left and play the ball backwards. But he comes back on his right, which was exactly the same movement as Warburton did there, sent it in, and obviously that all happened. So, yeah, lovely stuff.
And then once the ball hits the back of the net, there's just so much to pick out. You've got I'm presuming it's Dan Powell behind the camera who's screaming. I'm assuming that's him. It must be. Or I think he's got an assistant. Might be him. I don't know, but they're absolutely going for it.
John Kieran's voice was so high pitched you just can't hear it anymore. It's probably like a John Kieran audio track that only a dog can hear.
I think it was on there. I think it was on there, but it's like the noises that they play outside shops on council estates to stop kids congregating, and we can't hear it. Like a certain age. You've got the Boston fan who goes in very hard, very early with just constant cries of "fuck off," to the point that a bit later he starts saying bloody robbery because he's gone too big. Once you've shouted "fuck off" constantly for 30 seconds, you've got nowhere else to go.
You said earlier that if you go in screaming and shouting, and you've got nowhere to go after that, people just ignore you. Yeah. You've got to play it properly.
Just what a time that! Yeah, what a time! What a time! Just absolutely. I could listen to that constantly.
The return game at Edgeley Park that year was just one of the greatest spectacles ever. With their keeper John Stewart, who was basically doing what we did on Saturday. We was falling over. He was time wasting from the like the 10th minute or something. He was jogging over and all of this. And then obviously Warburton scored in about not as late as that, but about the 87th, 88th minute. And suddenly he was running around all over the pitch and everything. Yeah. And I'm being flippant there. We were obviously no way near as bad as that on Saturday, but our perception of Boston is they're a time-wasting, dirty, shithouse team.
Exactly.
Because that's the only game we saw them play, or one of only two games we saw them play that season. Charlton fans' perspective or perception of us is going to be we're a dirty, shithouse, time-wasting team because they don't watch us every week. They only see us once or twice a season, and we put on that kind of performance. So, yeah, we weren't as bad as John Stewart, but, let's bear in mind, let's not be tarred with that brush.
I maintain that the commentary for that home game with John Stewart's time wasting is John Kieran's finest work as county commentator. Yeah. That, and I don't know if you remember this, but it might have been when commentary was on. I think it was when it was on Pure, and they had the little opening titles before the show started at 2, and it was like little clips of John's commentary, and one of them was, it's off the bar, off the keeper, and it's in. It's like, who chose that? Yeah. Who's the one who chose? Who's the person? I can't pinpoint what that goal is. If anyone knows what that goal is, where it's hit off the bar, off the keeper, and in, because I just can't place it. It must have been. It might even have been football, like late football league days last time round, judging by how long they had that.
Football league, though, did we?
No, but I'd imagine the ones we did were that level of scrappy.
Yeah, there's not anything that jumps to mind, to be honest. And then, was that the kind of era, like the Strawberry Radio era, when you'd tune in at 5 to 3 and it'd just be like white noise playing back at you for the first half?
Oh yeah. Well, they blocked me. They've still got me blocked on Twitter. I checked the other day because they were constantly fielding tweets from disgruntled county fans between like 3 and 5 every Saturday, having a proper good old moan. And then they said, "Oh, it's not us. It's an issue with the comms at the stadium, blah blah, all the tech stuff." And I replied to them saying, "Well, if it smells like shit everywhere you go, maybe check your shoes." And they just blocked me.
There you go.
Strawberry. Prior to that, it was Pure. Before that, it would have been Imagine, and before that would have been Signal. I think.
You go way back to Signal.
Yeah.
With Cheshire. 104, was it 104.9 Signal? Oh, that was XFM, wasn't it?
No, Pure was 104.9.
Well, 104.9, wasn't it?
I think XFM's 97.7, I think.
Well, that was Radio 1.
Was it?
That was 98.9.
This is good. This is the type of content I wanted to deliver for people.
Yeah. And then going further back, there used to be long wave radio Atlantic 252.
Yes.
Like in the mid-90s. They used to have the top 7 at 7. And it'd be something like going probably mid-90s, and you'd record the top 7 at 7. And it was something like Scatman John. And as you'd be listening to it, it was such piss poor quality. It'd be like coming round in like a sound wave. So it would be really loud, and then it would fade out like that. And then it would come back loud, like the sound is reverberating around the room.
Yeah. That's how it must feel to be a lorry driver at that time. Well, since you mentioned Scatman John, that's got a nice connection to County. That is one of the greatest moments of.
And we can hope for a repeat of it in the coming weeks, because it was this time of year, wasn't it? If we remember, obviously the significance of the day it happened. Does anyone know what it is before we just talk about it again? We spoke about this. Hasn't been prompted, by the way. Like, genuinely, Scatman John isn't responsible, but was the centerpiece of one of the greatest unintended moments of county culture ever. Does anyone know what it is? We won't keep it open all night. Literally, in the next, if you know it, say it. Otherwise, we'll just
Don't even just get the answer out as quick as you can. We'll take the answer without vowels if we can decipher it. Text speak,
another moment. No, I won't give it away now. But there's another kind of slightly connected one, and I can't quite join the dots of what happened. But it was like, fucking, is this happening? Are we really doing this now? But yeah, literally give it a minute. See if anyone gets it.
It is. I mean, it's one of the many reasons. There's a future guest we've talked about that we won't mind doing a live show with, and that's questions 1 through to 7 on my list.
But it was complete, like there was no connection to it. That Scatman hadn't featured at any point earlier in the day. It didn't come on later in the day. It was just completely out of context.
Yeah.
No one knows.
If there was a no context county Twitter account,
yes,
it'd just be, we'd have to get videos of that constantly.
Yeah, I don't think anyone knows it.
No one knows it. They're not top shaggers like us, Ben.
No, exactly. Should we spill the beans?
Tell them, please. I'm just going to sit here and laugh.
I think it was 2017, 2018 when we played FC United at home, 4th of November, and we wore the white and black Robinson's away kit as a home game because it had the poppy and it was part of the poppy appeal and all that. And the league give you permission to wear your away kit once a season at home. So it's that. And we do all the remembrance activities. Obviously, John Kieran's a big part of, I think, is it the British Legion? I think is, well, certainly he's heavily involved in like the poppy appeal and all this. So really poignant. We had the kind of your man with the bugle and all of this. Very nice. But prior to that, we were welcoming on like some old pensioners and people, some veterans who'd fought in it, and it was all really reverent. And just as your man, stood around clapping, all goes silent. And just as your man or your kid, probably the biggest moment in his life, stands in the centre circle to play Last Post on the Bugle, out of nowhere, hadn't been played earlier, Scatman, midway through, Scatman John just appears on the PA and interrupts everything. And it was almost like Ken had been listening to it like on his headphones or something, and then the headphones had become unplugged, and the whole ground got it and just disrupted it. So Scatman John, why was he midway through that song? How did it appear? It wasn't even the start, was it? It was just halfway through. Like 45 seconds into the song. It was brilliant, and it was proper county heritage, and it was just so kind of encapsulated where we were as a club back then.
Just the thoughts of Ken listening to that on his headphones, like trying to keep up with current music trends. I've got Mr. Vane after this.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
Oh God, that was just fabulous. That was, yeah. Oh God. See, yeah, I honestly assumed Ian Dowden remembers it, but I honestly assumed people would remember that. Oh,
and I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was another kind of, and it was almost like in the time when I started doing on the old board, used to do Ken Watch, which was kind of posting like highlights of Ken and this kind of stuff. And again, I can't remember exactly what game it was, but it was certainly in the north. Pre-match, you're playing music, and I get the impression someone at the club has now curates a playlist that we play beforehand.
I did for a while.
There we go. So the music is a lot better than it used to. And it used to be a right fucking mix mash of
anything. God, yeah. Whatever the latest Now CD was, basically.
Yeah. But this, it was pre-game, and one of the songs we played was off the Schindler's List soundtrack. And it wasn't even, not that you'd really choose anything. It's not like it was full of bangers, the Schindler's List soundtrack, but it wasn't even like the famous kind of title song. It was from The Darkest Sea. And, if you've seen the film, and I'm sure everyone knows at least, has the premise of what Schindler's List is all about. There's a scene in it where what are called the Schindler Jews are accidentally routed. They're meant to be going to the Schindler factory, but they accidentally get sent off to Auschwitz. Obviously horrific, not making any light of that or anything like that. But there's this really haunting kind of violin music that plays over that scene as they're being transported, and then it dawns on them where they are, and then they go into the gas chambers. But and the music that plays over that, we played that pre-match at Edgeley Park before a game. I remember saying, like, who's come up with it? Why is this on anybody's playlist? Like, and then like the next song would be something like Bananarama or something, just completely incongruous mix of songs. Yeah, glorious, great days.
That's like some Top of the Pops level stuff. If you watch like the old episodes of Top of the Pops on BBC4, some of the mix of some stuff, I forgot just how weird some of the mixes were on Top of the Pops. They would often have like a song that's got in. I think there was one where it was like, so it would have been Nessun Dorma had got into the charts off the back of Italia 90, and they had it would have been some house tune. It might have even have been like something hacienda. There was this house tune, and then straight to Nessun Dorma after that. And it's like, just imagine this being your first exposure to like the British music charts.
Yeah,
just
exactly that.
seeing that.
So,
I'm now with the Schindler's List thing. I'm now picturing Lanks going absolutely mental at the girl in the red coat, just absolutely furious.
I'd love to know how that ever ended up there. Like, because I can't imagine it's something somebody has like on their day-to-day playlist. So,
in the gym.
Yeah. So how did that ever end up? And who didn't spot it? And after a kind of a minute, think like, maybe turn this off. It's not probably. Yeah.
So someone in the office or something just going, "Isn't this a song from Schindler's List?"
Yeah.
This is probably pre-Shazam as well. So.
But also, it's like a 7-minute like violin solo. It's not as if it's like a 30-second kind of like Mayday by the Libertines or something. Short, sharp blast.
Yeah.
Like, come on, kick off in a minute. Yeah.
What would you, if it was up to you, what would you do because it's quite a common debate. Well, no one gets asked about it, not like I do. What would you have as like a run-out song if we had to have one? I mean, I'm all for letting the crowd. I love the whole Liverpool, Celtic, Dortmund, You'll Never Walk Alone thing. If there was something that everyone could sing and like build an atmosphere, but it's not
those rounds. But obviously we can't have it. We have no relevance to it or anything, and it just looked like we're trying to copy Liverpool or whoever.
Oh no, I don't mean in terms of having one of them, but I mean just a big song that is associated with the club. Like, the scarf should be it,
but we ruin it because people sing it wrong. They say, "I wore the scarf." Yeah, it's like, for anyone who isn't aware of the lyrics, early on in the song, you don't say, "I wore the scarf around my neck at Chesterfield and Crewe." It's, "I wore it proudly around my neck at Chesterfield and Crewe." The point of the song is you don't say the words "the scarf" until the very end of it. It's like a reveal of what it is you're talking about. Yeah. So there's that, and also people sing it too quickly, and whoever's drumming would just be bloody drumming the words rather than like just adding some kind of beat to the song. So it's just a non-starter, isn't it? Really. So yeah, I prefer it when it's crowd rather than music. I think you can't hear it at the Cheadle, but do we still persist with that fucking awful dance music? Sounds like Charlie Bethel.
Yeah. It was all. Yeah, I don't know how that came about. Well, yeah, that was a thing for quite a while, but I don't know if it's still happening, and I've just managed to tune it out, or again I've got to an age where I can't hear it.
You genuinely can't hear it in the Cheadle. So maybe it doesn't exist anymore. But I didn't even know it did until we sat in the main stand, I think, last season or the season before, and we heard it. I was like, do we do this every week? But apparently we do.
Yeah, it's a shame, really. Shame. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the ones that had worked. Like "Wake Up" by Arcade Fire is a great shout, but that's been done by so many teams. Is that Burnley who do that? Yeah, I've saw that. Don't want that.
I can't have that.
Yeah, we'll be shagging our aunties next. No, you're all right. "Ceremony" by New Order was one I fancied. I think that's a great tune. I think that would work well.
Yeah.
There's even like plenty of songs that were recorded in Stockport.
Yeah.
Good work. Yeah. Maybe I'll do a SK3 TV playlist and send it to the club. That'll show them. Right, before we wrap up, we should get on How many points are we getting from the? We should fulfil our remit. You know, like when the BBC have to like, if they say a political party is bad, they have to say the other ones are bad. So
Yeah.
we'll fulfil our remit by talking slightly about Northampton and Lincoln. How many points are we getting from the next two?
6 points.
I reckon 6.
Yeah.
I think that's easy 6.
Sorry, I hate to do this. Can you just talk amongst yourselves for like 10 seconds? I can hear one of my children shouting. Sorry.
No
Not
problem.
planned. That was a joke, Nick.
Well,
I'll be back in a sec.
Oh, I don't have any jokes. I have long-winded anecdotes that are very self-deprecating. So yes, don't forget, if you have been tuning in, to hit the thumbs up button and to also subscribe on YouTube. And if you go into the episode description, you can find our link tree that's got links to all our social media network platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the TikToks, and anywhere that's important. You can also follow on Spotify. We'll be back next Monday from 8 o'clock. And don't forget, keep an eye out, follow our social media channels for a big announcement of some non-county stuff, a big partnership that we've got coming up, which is very, very exciting. No Hannah either next week, unfortunately. Hannah's still away on a cruise, and she's managed to escape a cyclone today. So she escapes a cyclone and escaped having to do this podcast. So it's a good week for Hannah, and she'll be back the week after next, I believe. So I've not decided on the lineup for next week, but we have been asking the question that we pose at the top of the show was what was I held that together well, and I just went on about people.
It was seamless all the way through.
Oh yeah. They'll never notice you even when the audio listeners will be like, why is Ben not saying anything? Because he won't even have realised. Yes, we did ask at the top of the show, or near the top of the show, what was significant about our home game against Gillingham in the FA Cup second round.
Away game.
And the away game, sorry, yes, the away game, the replay was at home.
It's been an overwhelming response in the comments, hasn't there?
Yeah, Steve Holmes is the only one to offer an answer. He asked, was it the first we played in administration?
No, we weren't in administration at that point. No, we went in because the whole thing about the Villa game was that it would potentially staved off administration.
Yeah.
And it might have done for like 5 minutes, but the club was run really
Stave off is probably the only time... administration is probably the only time you hear staved off in football.
Yes,
you don't stave off opposition attacks.
Yeah.
No.
Stave off. You can stave off relegation. Can you stave off relegation?
Well, I think you can do, actually, yeah.
I think you can. I think you can stave off relegation. I think a manager can stave off relegation. I don't know if a team can. So someone like Big Sam would come in to help Leeds stave off relegation. Perhaps.
Manager X's Team Y beat Team Z 2-1 to help stave off the threat of relegation.
I'm going to Google stave off relegation.
I think you've got it.
Stave off relegation. There you go. A blueprint to stave off the fear of relegation. Can newly promoted clubs stave off the threat of relegation? So we can have that. What was the other one we said?
Excellent.
Administration.
Yeah, stave off administration. Yeah.
Inverness, Cali Thistle and Alan Savage clinch deal to stave off administration. And set the Inverness club on path to recovery. There we go.
Aren't they close to going bust again? How old's that article?
Yeah, that's only August, that one. Yeah.
Oh Christ! It's still not going well for them, apparently. Oh God! I'm glad we.
Can you stave off anything else in football apart from relegation and administration?
No, because you can't stave off attacks. Can you stave off terrible songs coming on during a minute's silence?
Can you stave? Anyway. So that game was highlighted as being something that would have staved off relegation if we'd have beaten Gillingham because we'd have got the ITB money, but it only would have been a temporary reprieve because we were budgeting to sell players and all that kind of stuff, weren't we? So anyway, Gillingham away. Is it December, November? FA Cup second round, probably first week of December.
First week of December, yeah.
No, it was 29th of November.
That was early that year.
8. Yes, because did they play the 3rd round before Christmas that year? No, they didn't. Ignore that. Anyway, Gillingham away, Priestfield, November 2008. It's not a massive fact, but it's 43 FA Cup games ago, and it was in fact our most recent 0-0 draw in the FA Cup. So there you go.
Was it?
Yeah, we've not had 0-0 in the FA Cup since then. 43
That's
games, which is closing in on our club record longest run of FA Cup results without a 0-0, which was 47 games between November 1980 and November 2004. I'm not expecting you to know who the November 1980 game was against, but I do expect you to know who the November 2004 game was against. Who was it?
November 2004. Oh, shit, I can't even... It wasn't a non-league team, was it? It was someone in the league.
We drew 0-0 and then lost in the replay.
2004. No, I don't know.
We beat Huddersfield 3-1 in the first round, and then we drew 0-0 with Swansea and then lost at the Vetch Field on a Tuesday night.
Oh, yeah, they've still the Vetch then. Oh, Christ almighty.
That was our first... At the time, that was our first 0-0 draw in the FA Cup since November 1980, a run of 47 games. We're currently on a run of 43 games in the FA Cup without a 0-0 draw.
I'm getting visions now of us getting a big televised 3rd round game on BBC and Guy Mowbray saying, well, of course, guaranteed goals in the FA Cup here at Edgeley Park. It's been X amount of games since the 0-0 draw.
But for us to get a 0-0 this season, because there's no replays, so game 44 would be 2nd round, game 45 would be 3rd round, game 46 would be 4th round, game 47 would be the 5th round, which would equal our best ever cup run in the FA Cup.
I don't think I can handle that many penalty shootouts.
Would I take a 0-0 in the FA Cup 5th round this season? I think I probably would. Even if we have to shithouse our way to it, I would take your hand for that now.
That's where the shithousery is acceptable, because you're going to be playing a top side. Yeah, if someone like I've got a real hatred for Arsenal at the moment. If they were to
say we're playing a top side, we wouldn't know. We'd probably get through, but draw someone like who's also had a really good cup run, like Luton or someone like that, and just be we'd just go under the radar. Our biggest scalp would be someone like Preston, and then it'd just be a series of like League One teams we play and just consistently avoid all the big names. And every time, we'd be like the featured team in the draw, and it'd be like, go on, and it's like Stockport County will play, go on, and then it'd be like Exeter at home.
Oh God, yeah. And then 30 years from now, it'd be like, oh, do you remember that our run to the 5th round of the FA Cup? No.
No.
It's not Chesterfield 96-97, is it? Christ.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, Sheffield United in 1980, SMB. That was the first game of the 47-game run. I'll assume you've looked that up rather than actually knowing that. I'd be very impressed if you did know it.
Cam has suggested Joker and the Thief by Wolf Mother for walkout music, which is also an excellent shout and takes me back to the mid-2000s when I was young and desirable and had hopes and dreams. So that's as good a reason as any to have it, isn't it? Yeah. I've accepted it though now. In the last 6 months or so, I've accepted it,
Yeah. Those hopes and dreams soon pass, don't they? Soon disappear.
Yeah, they've already look at me now. Right, that is just about time to wrap it up, I think. Thank you, Ben, for joining me. It's been a pleasure. I think we've given some good opinions on the Charlton game there. It's good to actually get them out there using words rather than having people like misread tweets and like misinterpret stuff in it. I think
so. I was thinking about this earlier because I do feel quite strongly about the way that we play, and I don't want us to be one like a Boston or something like that. But I genuinely don't. I think that what we've said here tonight is fair. I don't think someone could look at that and be like, "Oh, you should." 5 years ago they were in National League North. You should be happy, kind of thing. And I'm sick.
I don't, because that's the thing that annoys me the most.
Yeah, I'm sick of that mindset because we were in the National League 5 years ago or whatever it was, but we're also a part-time regional club. Now we're a multi-million pound operation who have spent tens of millions of pounds and have, you know, players on loan from the Premier League. So we're a totally different thing. So don't wave that fucking idiotic stick in my face ever again, even though I bought it up. I'm arguing with myself now. Can't remember what the point was, but I think we've been reasonably fair until the last 10 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which you can't say fairer than that, can you?
There you go. So there we go. If you disagree with us, then start your own podcast. And yeah.
Or send a stamped addressed envelope to SK3 TV Towers.
Exactly.
And we'll just shit in it and send it back. Yeah, exactly. That's what you think of your opinions. If you want anyone else's opinion, I don't. Yeah. So,
but also, yeah, if you do agree with it, or you don't agree with it, or you just want to send us some fan mail / hate mail, tweet us at SK3 TV, at County Shirts. Genuinely, tell us your opinions, tell us your thoughts. Yeah. And we'll probably ignore them, or at the very least kind of berate them.
My voice went funny then when I was agreeing with you when you were giving the addresses out. You know when like a girlfriend breaks up with you and everyone's like, "How are you doing?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah." That's how my voice went then. I was like, genuinely get in touch. It's like, yeah, genuinely do.
Yeah.
We're not a closed shop.
No, exactly.
Everyone thought because Hannah's away on holiday that everything would go to shit, but it hasn't. So I've showed them.
Yeah, I mean, we could drag it out another half hour if you want. I can spit a few more questions at you.
That's annoying some more people.
I've got a great kind of tweet lined up for this week. It's not trivia. It's just going to unlock a memory in County from like the fairly recent past, like over a decade ago, which you probably haven't thought about since it happened. So look out for that.
It's not me being that excited about Martin Gritton signing, is it?
No, it's not digging anyone out individually. It's just a kind of a moment in our history which we've probably forgotten about, which I'm going to bring back to the fore because it deserves not celebrating, but talking about.
Marking. Excellent. That sounds like a plan. Lovely stuff. Right, we'll be back next week from 8. Keep an eye on our channels for a big announcement coming up later this week. In fact, if you stick around for a minute, Ben, I'll tell you what it is in a second. Yes, let's say goodbye to everyone then.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.